Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Hitori Dake, or White Noise Glow. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves a track on the screen on Spotify, and here is the art here. I should note that this is not the first time I have reviewed Hitori Dake's work. I previously checked out their track Bioside, which I thought was a phenomenal song. Be good to check out more. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Got lyrics as well, so let's go, let's do it. Thank you for including lyrics with your Spotify one. It's got a sort of misty, intriguing tone to it, doesn't it? Phenomenal vocal fry there, great texture.
I still try to look high, but I'm so tired. Get lost to fall free and get that we won't be together again. I fucking love you.
Quite impressed with that hook, to be honest.
I've gotta keep those feet moving, mind to wash in white noise glow. I hold your dreams in a jar, they live deep inside my head.
All backing vocals, nice.
I get lost to fall free, get that we won't be together again. I fucking love you.
Just how it enters, man.
I fucking love you. Till the day I draw my last breath. I'm growing weak, close to falling apart. Not sure I know I can make it. Just wait and see, here I am. Can't you feel me coming, coming, coming? Just not today. No, not today. I'll always love you. My heart won't ever forget. I love you till I draw my last breath. I'll always
Hmm. Dude, that was phenomenal. That sent chills. Like, for real. Just a really well written song and well performed. I'm going to talk about it more though in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Hitori Dake, titled White Noise Glow. In this section, I'm going to provide an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But before we go any further, what do we think this track is about? My understanding, going through the lyrics, is that this track is about someone who, as per a by your side, Hitori Dake, they lost their son. Their son passed away. I think that this track is kind of following on from that loss. Your photo where as dust has moved since you left, now pillow holds your shape in the place you once sat. So like we're really, we're struggling with the fact that things have changed there. We've got all these vivid memories there. I still try to look high, but I'm so tired I get lost, I fall free. And it's like just saying that we're trying to continue to move forward. We're trying to put right leg, left leg, etc. But it's difficult to do that. I feel like there'll be people that can relate to this and empathize with that, or even if you haven't lost someone, even imagining losing someone, I get that we won't be together again. I fucking love you. My aching heart will never forget. Exactly. It's just blunt. It's straightforward. It's crying out. It's why the music becomes so much bigger at that point, so much louder, is because we're really calling out, and there's such magnificent adjustment of the intensity between the verse and bridge and chorus parts there that I'm just really stoked by it, I've got to keep these feet moving, mind wash in a white noise glow as a quarter past fuck another day blurs and shades of shadow. It's that kind of, like, if you've ever been going through similar stuff, you can probably imagine what we're talking about here. It's just a blur, You've got brain fog, mind awash and white noise glow, dreams in a jar that live inside my head. There's all these thoughts that are swirling around and things you're still carrying with you. And as we go through it, can't you feel me coming, just not today, no, not today, I always love you, my heart will never forget. And we come down to that, but I think because we're finally realizing that eventually we will get to see them again and we'll love them until that point and including that point. I just think that, with all this in mind, this process that they discuss, this journey that we're going with Hitori Dake is so wonderful, and it displays both a profound sense of humanity and authenticity, as well as, I suppose, being one of the purest forms of expression. I think what sells it is how wonderfully unfiltered the vocal performance is. Hitori Dake can sing, very comfortable on head and chest voice, bit of, there's vocal fry, there's this kind of gritty kind of graininess to it that makes it very kind of like, it sounds like they're having a rough time from the texture alone. Like it's difficult for these words to come out. But, we are quieter in some parts there, a bit more kind of withdrawn. And at other points, we really build ourselves up and we blast off. And it's just huge. It's just, again, phenomenal dynamic range. And it's great to have different sections to this track where we explore different melodies and ideas to adjust within the individual verse sections whilst having a repeated kind of catchy hook line, even in that minor key, that, again, you want to sing along to. And I love the fact that it says, I'll fucking love you, because it's just, we're not feeling like we have to hold anything back. We're just being really true to our feelings, and we're not filtering them for anyone else or worried about the light language of it. And I like the fact that we had backing vocals as we went through the track on the sides of the stereo field. They just sort of widened things, and it wasn't an all the time thing. It was almost like we were kind of building up as we go through the track, as the natural bell curve kind of builds, and then we kind of come down at the end with the quieter sort of whisper parts, and there's like the white noise and the kind of filtering and sort of manipulation of the tone of the vocals from like a post-production perspective. But we don't need any help in post to actually sort of like tune the performance or anything like that. Ronnie, Hitori Dake can just clearly sing. But I also appreciate what we're doing within this 5 minutes 09 of this track. It's wonderfully structured. We start the piece with the piano, and it stays with itself, quite comfortable, setting the mood there with nice sort of like adjustments of rhythm between the hands, some articulations with the right hand. And it's just, you know, we have the key set at that point with a minor leaning, but we don't just play the same sequence over and over. We adjust the way we phrase it, almost like a piano solo at the start of the piece there. And it's just good attention to detail, not taking the listener's attention for granted. And I think when you have those guitars come in with the delays and reverbs on them, playing those sort of like almost kind of trippy sounding notes there, it's a wonderful thing, partly because they just almost sound like time ticking by a little bit. They sound a little bit kind of like you're in the ether, like you're in your own head a little bit sort of like psychedelic. And it makes it more mysterious, I suppose. You know, and before we have those guitars come in, you've got this kind of cello in the low end there, the string section with a low buzz to it. And that does, you know, continue to appear throughout it, but it's just a very subtle kind of accent before we go into a new part. I do kind of dig the drums that we had around the 1 minute 45 mark. You know, what the vocal was kind of developing. It wasn't something I was initially understanding. Not that I disagree with the decision to have it, but because I was kind of trying to figure out where we were going with it, because it almost seemed like maybe that was as much as the drums were going to do. But then the hook came in and it was just huge. We have an immensely heavy sounding part that, like, when you look at it and listen through it again, it's kind of amazing how heavy it is, despite, you know, like, it's not got the heavy double track guitars there. There's kind of a crispiness to them. It's more like the bass that you have in there is rolling around some portamento, and I do dig the tone of that. And the drums are nice and punchy as well. They kind of slap at you, but like, it's also the vocals when they come in, they take you by the and go, you know, I fucking love you. It's just, it's so vibrant. I think part of it is the immediate shift in intensity between the end of that verse part and then the chorus. How there's like a pause and everything just kind of slams in there, and it's great. And there's also some pads in the background, if I'm not mistaken, there, as well as the keys there that kind of offer a bit of reverb and ambience in the mids to uppers, which just, again, it's everything you had before, plus these additional elements in mid and low range that really kind of boost it. I think it's also the fact that that's the first time we actually have the punch of the drums. But I think it's also like the lack of resolution in some of those guitar parts and harmonies in those hook parts. There is a chord progression you could have had there where the fourth chord would have been a lot more predictable. We kind of left a sense of tension there with some of the extensions on it. And I just like the fact that we're not allowing the listener to have resolution on that. And there's like a further sense of tension in that interlude part near the end, with a minor leaning like deliberately kind of like boosting towards that. And there's just these unison bends with just so ferocious there, such tension. And there's these like chromaticisms going between chords there on the third one, and then we finish on a major chord, but then we go like to a minor after that, almost like we're happy that we're never going to forget them, that we had that person in our life. And we have those industrial drums kind of fading us out before the voice slowly sort of fades into the ether with the kind of noise on it. It almost sounds like a radio filterish kind of thing going on, and it just gets quieter and quieter until there's nothing. And it's a really sort of like beautiful finish to the piece there. It's a massive adventure. I say this often because I feel like most people who send tracks through that I review, they understand the fundamentals of structuring a piece. But this song just felt sort of like transcendent in the sense that it was just every single bit of it had a special idea or something cool behind it. It was like micromanaged, but in a way that had a lot of love and care. And I just want to sort of say that I think the structuring was excellent, the performance, as well as the tones and the different instruments and how they integrated and sort of like amalgamated. It was a very rare experience that I had with this piece, and I'm thankful that I had the chance to listen through it sincerely, you know. Thematically, minor leaning, but there are some nuances to it. I think that given the subject matter, having a minor key to this is nice, but we don't necessarily gravitate towards having a low kind of downtrodden experience to it. We go through the grief we have, but it's more like the force of the instruments and parts like the hook and the interlude and stuff like that are, you know, they're exhibiting an alternate kind of perspective on it maybe. And I like that nuance there. I like that, you know, even though this is not a good position to be in, this is clearly not a happy situation, that we're trying to sort of just nonetheless address our feelings behind it and get it out of our system and put it in front of people, because I feel like that's the best kind of music. I don't think there's no out of place, honestly. Well done. Studio recording, mixing and mastering. fantastic. Again, the moment things clicked with the drums and the processing on those. With the drums, by the way, I didn't mention it. I loved the use of crashes with the drums, the kicks and snares there. We had our hi-hat and cymbal patterns and the main sort of beats there. But just, I loved how boisterous the drums were in the chorus parts and how unabashed we were with having those louder elements there just to make it sound huge. I thought it was dope. Studio production though, honestly, vocals, well, sort of like processed, EQ, compression, reverbs, etc. Texture filtering at the end with some of those sort of faded out and sort of radio filterish parts there, the kind of glitchy distortion and stuff like that, the fuzz. The strings, the bass, guitars, drums, nicely positioned in the free spectrum results stereo field surrounding you in the headphones. Fantastic sound design. I love the way things moved around in it. I liked that you could understand the individual components, hear them clearly, but also that you've got enough in there for replay value through trying to figure out the different nuances and how they further integrate. You'll have a different listening experience each time for the first like half a dozen times. So that's great. There's just so much to sort of take in. There's also a lot of dynamic range from both compositional and studio production point perspective, which is really good. Yeah, nice loud bus compression and limiting is handled there, honestly. No applicable constructive critique. And then from a final general listener's perspective, it's just a pleasure to review Hitori Dake's music. They make great tunes, and I am sorry that they've had to go through what they've gone through. At the same time, I am thankful as both a lover of music and a reviewer that we have musicians like Hitori Dake making such fantastic songs. It's in a day and age where you really can just do a lot less and people would probably sort of accept it. To have someone really trying to make best music they can in their own style, because I haven't really heard a lot of music like this before. It's just fantastic, and it makes me genuinely excited for what they put out in future. I wish them all the best and luck in future with their musical endeavors. Because thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Hitori Dake, titled White Noise Glow, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need to help more than able to the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.